Precisely 1:15 p.m. is the time. Here's the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Chandima Veerakon. Headlines. The IMF says that Sri Lanka is leading among the countries that implemented reconstruction work properly. Sri Lanka approves visa-free entry for visitors from 7 countries. Water level in several reservoirs decreased. A project will be implemented to provide loan facilities and investments to the small and medium-scale entrepreneurs under concessionary interest rates. The government of Japan has agreed to provide 435 million rupees for the development of the fishing industry. In news overseas, Pakistan Supreme Court holds military trials for Imran Khan supporters. Local stories in detail. The IMF says that Sri Lanka is leading among the countries that implemented reconstruction work properly to rescue the country from the economic crisis. Executive Director of the IMF, Dr. Krishnamurthy Subramaniam, said that the decision has been taken to provide further assistance due to their dedication. He held discussions with the State Minister Shehan Semasinghe at the Ministry of Finance. He also stated that Sri Lanka has qualified to obtain the second installment from the IMF. State Minister has appreciated the support given by the IMF. He also appreciated the support given by India and other countries. The Cabinet has approved visa-free entry for visitors from 7 countries including India, China and Russia as a pilot project until 31st March 2024, Tourism Minister Harin Fernando said. In a tweet, he said, the Cabinet has approved visa-free entry to visitors from India, China, Russia, Malaysia, Japan, Indonesia and Thailand with immediate effect. Last week, the Minister of Tourism announced that a cabinet paper has been presented in the previous cabinet meeting to issue free tourist visas for foreigners from 5 countries who come to Sri Lanka as tourists. The cabinet paper in this regard was presented as a joint cabinet paper by Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, Tourism and Lands Minister Harin Fernando, Minister of Public Security Tiran Alas and Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri. The ministry had said that it was expected to get approval in the upcoming cabinet meeting and that accordingly it was proposed that tourists from China, Russia, India, Thailand and Indonesia be entitled for free visa. The rainy conditions experienced in several areas of the southern province will prevail further. However, Director of the Disaster Management Unit of the Irrigation Department, SPC Sugeshwara, said that the water level in several rivers has decreased by dawn today. The water level in Kalu, Ging and Nilwala rivers has decreased. State Minister for Finance Dr. Ranjit Simbalapitiya says that attention has been paid regarding the commercial banks which did not reduce the bank interest rates. It has been revealed that some banks have still not followed the circular that have been issued to reduce the interest rates. A project will be implemented to provide loan facilities and investments to the small and medium-scale entrepreneurs under concessionary interest rates. Loan scheme projects will be implemented for them. The Asian Development Bank will grant $165 million in this regard. It has been planned to set up national loan security institutions in order to provide solutions to the problems faced by the entrepreneurs. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Cherished companion of microfinance banking, Samurdhi Community Bank.
Continuing with the local stories, the government of Japan has agreed to provide 435 million rupees for the development of the fishing industry. Facilities will be broadened to increase a high value to the sea-related productions. Cool storage facilities with modern technology will also be provided to enhance the fishing industry. Erecting statues of God Kataragama, Thevaniyamma and Valyamma took place at the SLBC Boatry premises today at the auspicious time of 9:30 a.m. These statues of gods and goddesses have been brought to the country from India. They will be placed in a special closet erected at the SLBC premises with a special offering to the gods. This has been organized under the guidance of Chairman of the SLBC, Hudson Samarasinghe. To conclude the local news, the headlines again. The IMF says that Sri Lanka is leading among the countries that implemented reconstruction work properly. Sri Lanka approves visa-free entry for visitors from 7 countries. Water level in several reservoirs decreased. A project will be implemented to provide loan facilities and investments to the small and medium-scale entrepreneurs under concessionary interest rates. The government of Japan has agreed to provide 435 million rupees for the development of the fishing industry. That concludes the local news for now.
Your closest ally in microfinance banking. The front runner in uplifting low-income households. Extending a hand to those aspiring to thrive. Your very own financial institution, Samurdhi Community Bank, with a presence of 1,089 branches throughout the island. Your closest ally in microfinance banking. Your steadfast financial partner, Samurdhi Community Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
Taking a look at the main news story, State Finance Minister Dr. Ranjit Sibalapitiya says that an extensive change will be carried out for the recruitment process to the institutions which are under the Ministry of Finance. Accordingly, selection will be conducted on the basis of their marks at the competent examinations. More attention will be focused on the Z-score marks. Opportunities will be made for the recruitment in a transparent manner. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Public Health Inspectors Union urged the public to exercise caution as there is a surge of 3 diseases due to the ongoing inclement weather conditions in the island. According to the union head Upul Rohana, eye diseases, diarrhea and respiratory illnesses often accompanied by high body temperatures are spreading rapidly. Upul Rohana stressed the importance of maintaining personal hygiene to control the spread of these illnesses. He also highlighted a concerning increase in dengue cases across the island, particularly in areas that were recently submerged due to heavy rainfall and subsequent flooding. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to the world news, the headlines. Pakistan Supreme Court holds military trials of Imran Khan supporters. The Australian city key to US plan to counter China. UN says that some Gazans returning to north despite risks. Pakistan's Supreme Court has ruled that military trials for civilians are unconstitutional, which experts are calling a win for democracy. Monday's decision comes months after the government said more than 100 people detained over protests following the May arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan would be tried in military courts. The decision was widely criticized by human rights organizations. These cases will now be transferred to civilian tribunals. The ruling may also pave the way for other civilians convicted in military courts to appeal. Today's verdict is highly significant and it will help strengthen the constitution, law and the civilian institutions of the country, said Aitazaz Ashan, a lawyer for the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, PTI, who filed the legal challenge to the military proceedings. When Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese meets US President Joe Biden in Washington this week, deterring an assertive China will be on the agenda. At home, Darwin, a city key to the US-led defense alliance in the Pacific, will be watching. War first came to Australia's shores on Thursday morning in 1942 when 188 Japanese aircraft appeared over the centre of Darwin. Bombs rained down on the coast, spraying red dirt and shrouding the Turkish harbour in smoke and fire. The two air raids nearly flattened the town, killing at least 230 people. Some Palestinians who fled their homes in the north of Gaza are starting to return because of the dire situation in the south, a senior UN official says. Israel told 1.1 million residents of Gaza City and other northern areas to leave for their own safety last week. But the UN officials said they were struggling to find shelter, food and drinking water in the south. The Hamas-run health ministry also said hundreds had been killed there in Israel airstrikes over the past day. The Israeli military said it had hit hundreds of military targets belonging to Hamas across Gaza as it stepped up its air campaign ahead of an expected ground offensive. To conclude the world news, the headlines again. Pakistan Supreme Court holds military trials of Imran Khan supporters. The Australian city key to US plan to counter China. UN says that some Gazans returning to north despite risks. That ends the world news.
Development news.
And on the development news, the government is expected to construct floating solar power plant with the capacity of 200 megawatts in 100 hectares at the Samanala Vawa Reservoir. The Ministry of Power and Energy will call proposals from the investors in this regard. That came to you in development news.
Sports news is brought to you by Shakti. Refresh your mind and body. Shakti Energy Drink. 350 rupees only. Available at island-wide leading groceries and supermarkets. Shakti. Taste the power.
On sports news, England hope that Bryden Cars can replicate Liam Plunkett's success in the middle overs after drafting him into their World Cup squad as a replacement for the injured Reece Topley. Cars will arrive in Bangalore ahead of England's match against Sri Lanka on Thursday, though it is unlikely to be considered for selection, having last played competitively 4 weeks ago. He featured in one of England's 4 ODIs against New Zealand last month after impressing in the T20 series and also played for their second-string side against Ireland. That came to you in sports news.
Shakti. Refresh your mind and body. Shakti Energy Drink. 350 rupees only. Available at island-wide leading groceries and supermarkets. Shakti. Taste the power.
Go ekak thiyana youth කට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
And on business news, the Sri Lanka Association of Printers has announced the forthcoming Sri Lanka Print Exhibition and Trade Fair 2023, along with the prestigious National Print Awards 2023. These two events mark a significant milestone in the Sri Lankan printing and packaging industry and underscore the commitment to excellence and innovation within the sector. The Sri Lanka Print Exhibition and Trade Fair 2023 is being held jointly with the Sri Lanka Institute of Packaging, and they're happy to announce that for the second time in a row. SLAP has joined hands with the Sri Lanka Institute of Packaging to hold this exclusive event of the printing and packaging industry. That came to you in business news.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth කට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And on economic news, Sri Lanka has initiated the process of revisiting the existing export strategic plan. The endeavour, spearheaded by the Sri Lanka Export Development Board or the EDB in collaboration with the Ministry of Investment Promotion, has obtained technical support from the International Trade Centre ITC based in Geneva. ITC Senior Officer, Trade Strategy and Competitiveness Charles Robert visited Sri Lanka from 16th to the 18th of October for this purpose. During the visit, the ITC expert had the opportunity to meet the representatives of associations, chambers, advisory committees and policymakers of the government. That came to you in Economic News.
Weather report.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in most provinces of the island after 1 p.m. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places in central, Sabrakamur and Uva provinces. Showers may occur in western, southern and eastern provinces during the morning too. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in central, Sabrakamur and Uva provinces during the morning. That came to you in the weather report. And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The IMF says that Sri Lanka is leading among the countries that implemented reconstruction work properly. Sri Lanka approves visa-free entry for visitors from 7 countries. Water level in several reservoirs decreased. A project will be implemented to provide loan facilities and investments to the small and medium-scale entrepreneurs under concessionary interest rates. The government of Japan has agreed to provide 435 million rupees for the development of the fishing industry. In news overseas, Pakistan Supreme Court holds military trials of Imran Khan supporters. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. With the time reading 32 minutes down 1, I hand over to my colleague Victor Raj to keep you entertained.